Hello everyone, this is Tony with TerraSky, and today we're going to cover how to create an Apex class extension right inside of SkyVisualEditor. Why is that important? Because there may be specific business logic that you need to create for your pages that SkyVisualEditor will not produce because it's so specific to your business needs. Instead of having to create the Apex class extension inside of Salesforce, we now have an editor inside of SkyVisualEditor that allows you to create that without leaving the design studio. So let's get started. What we're looking at on the center of the screen is a search template. I'm not going to cover how to create a search template. We have videos on YouTube and on our website that cover how to create that. But we are going to focus on the active field. What we're going to do in today's example is we are going to set an Apex class extension so that when the page is initially loaded, the active field will have a value of yes selected and the operator will be set to equals. And then the data will be pre-searched when the page is initially loaded. So let's go ahead and show how to do that. On the right-hand side, the Extended Apex Class section has been expanded. Click the Edit Class button. This will give you an area where you can edit your Apex Class extension and the test class for your code coverage. We're not going to focus on the code coverage today, simply the Apex Class extension. So let's get started with this. I'm going to enter in a couple of values that you may be familiar with, you may not be familiar with, but just follow along and I'll try and explain the best I can for what we're creating. The first thing that I'm going to do is use SVE account search. This is the name of my Apex controller. It also happens to be the name of my Visualforce page, so unless you manually select to change that, yours should be the same name as well. I'm going to call this variable that's referencing that page my extension. Okay, this is going to reference that Apex controller for us to work with. Then inside of the constructor, I'm going to type this.myExtension equals and then incoming extension. Now I like to use incoming extension, so I'm going to change the value inside of the parentheses here to incoming extension. It's not required. This is just a personal preference. The next thing I'm going to do is actually enter in the function that we're going to leverage. So we are going to utilize a global function. We're going to override the initialize function that's inside of one of the Apex classes. Okay, so that's what this is happening here. Now the initialize function controls what's going to take place when the page is initially loaded. That's what this function does. So what we're going to use is the myExtension variable that we created at the top. So we'll call this the myExtension dot. We're going to reference component 11. Well, how do I know what component 11 is? This is the component ID for my active field. If you don't know how to get that ID, select the active field on the canvas, and then on the right-hand side of the screen, there's going to be a property called ID. Reference that component ID. Now I'm going to add underscore val. This is going to tell me that I want to work with component 11's value portion of it. Remember, there is an operator and a value since it has that equivalency check. And then I'm going to reference the active field since it's a custom field. I'm going to set this to the value of yes. I want it hard-coded, but you could have it as a variable or referencing something from a URL or a different field. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the myExtension for component 11. This time it's going to be underscore OP. This is going to be the operator. So I'm going to set the operator value to EQ, which is an abbreviation for equals. Again, these are documented inside of our documentation, so if you aren't familiar with this, you can reference the help docs and it will talk you through how to go over this and understand what we're doing in this section. Then I'm going to do one last operation and we are done. And I'm going to type in my extension and this time do search. So this is actually going to execute the search after those values have been set. Once we do that, go ahead and check OK. Click File, Deploy, choose the environment and deploy the page. Now assuming that I have done everything correctly, when this page loads, it should automatically have the value of yes and equals for the active field, and a search result should be shown. And as you can see, the value of yes and the value of equals are both set for the active field, and then it has automatically searched for all records that have the active status of yes inside of my Salesforce organization. Thanks for watching.